If you are a freelancer in Switzerland, you might have encountered this issue if, for example, you're using Twint or Shopify or Stripe, that you basically have tons of very small invoices. Instead of sending one invoice for 5,000 or 10,000 Swiss francs, you end up with tons of small invoices because you're maybe selling software, or in our case, for Magic ID, for example, we are obviously selling software. And so if I have a look at, for example, our Stripe account, I will see tons of small payments like this. And so you might be thinking this is going to be very overwhelming from an accounting perspective, because the sort of completely logical way to do it, and that's what, for example, very large companies who are earning more than 500,000 in revenue per year have to do, is for every invoice you basically have to, like for every line in your bank statement, you have to enter something here and create a client, create the invoice, and that suddenly becomes hours and hours of work. Luckily for us, for freelancers that are below the 500,000 revenue limit, in Switzerland there is a rule that says that we do not have to do this. We can just aggregate revenue. So instead, the way this works is whether you're using Stripe or Shopify or Twint, those platforms can pay out the money that they store for you, maybe once a day, once a month, once a year. The standard is usually once a month. That's, for example, what we do. And so instead of having to worry about all those transactions, we just worry about one monthly transaction. And so what I do is I go into my bank account and I just see that once a month I get a payment from Stripe, for example, and then I just enter that in my accounting. So I go into Magic ID, I generate a new invoice, I search for my client, and I would generate the just like this, proceeds, and put whatever amount is the right amount this time, so 1,600, whatever. And then just mark the invoice as paid and end of the story. In reality, I'm not really issuing an invoice to Stripe, so I don't actually have to send the invoice anywhere. As soon as I generate it, I usually just go into payment and directly mark it as paid on the day it was paid, and end of the story. In this case, I'm not actually going to do it, but you get the idea. So I'll delete it here. And that way, my accounting is much, much simpler. I just worry about one transaction per month. And so what you have to think about is whether you're using Twint or Shopify, how can you make sure you get only one payment per month instead of all those thousands? And so you also have to decide what bank account you want to use. For example, if you have one personal bank account, one business bank account, or then you have Twint that maybe sends money to your personal bank account, or you also use PayPal and sometimes you use it as a bank account as well, this can become a huge mess. And so instead, you want to try to reduce to the minimum the amount of bank accounts where actually money flows in and where you actually do the count. So for us, this is the case. Like, for example, the revenue from the App Store, from the Google Play Store, and from Stripe all goes to one bank account. And so per month, I just have 3 money entries that I then book in the way I just showed you by creating those fake invoices. And that's really the goal, and that's how you make your accounting much easier in Switzerland if you have tons of small transactions, and it works as well for Shopify. And that way you don't have to worry about like some accounting software that integrates with your e-commerce platform, because that would just be a huge mess. And again, that's what Switzerland allows, so it makes your life much easier. All right, I hope it was useful.